If you're currently an engineer and you're finding it pretty hard to be as socially loose or as playful or as fun as you would like in your conversations or life, maybe you get stuck in your head a lot, you get trapped in overthinking, and there's things that you do want to say or do, but you just get too caught up in maybe the fear of judgment or a bad reaction that you could get, and that stops you from doing it. Now, the reason I know that that probably is the problem is because that is something that I went through very heavily in my life before. And it was to a point where it stopped me from being able to express myself in the way that I wanted to express myself. Even to the point where I wouldn't know how to express myself. I wouldn't know or have certain things that I liked or what to talk about or my own opinions. And that mainly happened because of the life I have lived up to that point and the life that you probably had lived up to that point, which has put you in a similar position as I once was. Now, myself has gone past that point to where am able to kind of be out of my head, be more socially loose, talk about the things I want to talk about, and not have such a high fear of judgment of just being able to express myself. And then, even on top of that, having a good understanding of social interactions, of what is kind of displeasing. Was that a word? Displeasing, fucking annoying when you're talking to someone. Um, what is more acceptable to talk about, to discuss with another person, that's more fun, more engaging. And so that is what we're going to be talking about today and how you can do that for yourself here. And then also how to connect with other people. Let's just get into the video, okay? So the main thing that I find with engineers holding them back is two things. And so the first one is your workplace is in your work and just like kind of the career that you've been into. And if you even go back to your schooling days, like it's very logical. It's very analytical. It's very just number based. There's not a lot of this you kind of letting loose and being more social in a way. It's just either like doing the numbers, doing the presentations, uh, building your slideshows, um, and doing like more just like rudimentary structured things. It's just very structured. And now when you go to have these concepts of fun and playful, these are going to be a bit more foreign just in that regard, right? And this it doesn't go for every human being or every engineer. Like you can be an engineer and still be incredibly fun and still be incredibly playful. It does depend on the person that you are. However, just by basis of this, you're going to be more kind of in your head, right? You're in your head as you work. Um, a job, however, like a server or a receptionist or someone who has to do a lot of talking, well, then you're going to be practicing your talking muscle, getting out of your head, being more expressive in a more dynamic way than how you do in a very professional setting, in your office, in your work building, over your Zoom meetings, in a much more professional tone that you're speaking in, right? Um, you just don't connect on a human to human level, however, on that professional kind of basis. Humans at the end of the day are, we go back hundreds of years, we go back hundreds of thousands of years. When we did not have offices or we had these professional settings, when we were just in our tribes, when we were at a hunter and gatherer level, just doing what we do as more primal beings. And we didn't have suits and ties, but we're still kind of we still have that brain, and we still on the most rudimentary level connect in that way, in that very human to human way. And so that's not at all in the professional setting or the professional way of communicating, where your language is good, your vocabulary is good, you're articulate. Like all those things are amazing, but that's not what humans are attracted to. That's what the professional setting is attracted to. But if you're trying to connect humanly to someone, that is actually so unrelatable to be that professional. And so at a very human to human level, the relatability of you is what allows connection, right? And you can actually do this in a more narrow level of if you're talking to someone and they have no like interest that you have, they're unrelatable. And so you guys are going to have this kind of inability to connect. Now, you can still connect on that you're humans, and that's a beautiful thing. It would be harder to connect on an alien and who didn't have any interests as you. But if that alien, as a not even a human being, but had all the interests you have, you would definitely connect here. Because as an emotional connection between human beings, it's we connect to things that are kind of like us, that we like in ourselves. And even some things that we don't like in ourselves. We more or less attract things that are like us. Which is good because you don't want to spend your entire life around someone that you can't connect or relate to or have any fun with, right? And so this connection does come from the relatability that you guys share. But if you're too nervous or shy or you don't know how to even get the words out to be able to establish any relatability, well, then that's not going to be there, right? And is actually a very attractive thing for you to try to find relatability, because this shows that you're putting a effort that really no other people do to build a connection. So you're trying to find relatability, put relatability to build a good connection. And so you have to think about it from the other person's perspective too. If you were to talk to someone, which you should try to talk to people and implement this. So that other person, if you're trying to connect to them, but you're just only caught up in the things that you like and you're not able to connect on any of the things that the other person likes, well, they're not going to feel so like connected to you. But if you can find some things, and it's not faking the things that you like, but if you can say and express the things that you like that they also like and talk about that stuff, then you guys are actually finding, and you're the one putting down that space for you guys to connect and to relate on something. And so I love talking about other people's interests. Even if I don't know too much about it, I'm interested in that subject, and so that is something for me to now relate on. For me now to relate on, because I'm now interested in what they're interested in, right? And it's even better when they're interested in something and I'm interested in something. Now we both have something to contribute. And it's putting that active kind of effort to find that space, to find those topics, to find those things. And for this to happen, you yourself have to have your own opinions and your own interests. Furthermore, your own beliefs about the world, right? And so you can connect on all these things. You can connect on beliefs, on interests, on opinions, all those things. So it's your when you're trying to build a connection, try to find those things that you can connect on. And for you to connect on them, you need to have them, right? And if you don't have your own strong opinion, and they don't have to be like super polarizing, they should be. It's like you should have some polarizing things if you're a unique human being. But you're not going to have your own interests, beliefs, or opinions if during your life you felt unsafe to have those. And so what I also find in a lot of engineers who've had more of a stressful upbringing because they've been kind of more forced to do very well in school and not focus so much on their social life, where school was the big priority and there's a lot of pressure to do well, and you weren't focused on the social life or connecting on other people. Well, your social life tends to not be the best, and your social skills tend to not be the best, and it's harder to connect and be socially loose. That's one of the first things. But then also you begin to develop, just kind of in yourself, a lower self-esteem. And this low self-esteem comes in the form of you finding it hard to express yourself, or maybe even a burden, or it hurts you to express yourself, because for you to express yourself would be to be seen. It would be making yourself seen to other people. And at a subconscious level, you kind of attribute this being seen with unworthiness. Something bad is going to happen. And this is coming from an even deeper subrooted subconscious of when you were to express yourself when you were a smaller kid growing up, either with your parents or maybe some friends or people at your school. As you were growing up, when you were to express yourself, you were met with pain. And so you kind of attribute this very deep rooted thing about yourself, is that if you were to express yourself, and again authentically, you would be met with pain. And so a real life example of this from my personal life was when I was in grade 4 and I went up to the playground where I saw my friends in a circle, and I went up to them and said, "What's up, guys? Like, how are you guys?" Very positive energy, very just open about myself, completely putting it out there. And in the back of my head, I said, "Oh, well, what if someone tells me like to shut up? I'm not a good person." But when I was a kid, that voice was very small. So I was like, "Okay, but that's stupid. Let me just go up and do it anyways." And exactly that happened, where one of the other classmates or one of the other kids in that circle said, "No, shut the fuck up. No one likes you." So I was like distraught after that. It was like literally the worst thing someone could say. And I was like, "Oh my God, fuck my asshole." And because, even then I didn't know how to respond to it. I was just, a nice person. I don't want to say anything back. I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I walked away from that circle or that group, and I was like, "Okay, I'm not doing that again. Fuck that shit." I also felt pretty bad about myself, right? And so if we look here, that was an authentic expression of myself, and it was hit with pain. It was met with pain. Now, what I should have done correctly from that point was, if I was met with that pain or that negative energy, I should have said to that person, I should have, at the highest level, came to them with compassion. "Are you okay, man? Are you having a bad day?" But I was, 8 years old. I didn't know how to fucking do that. I didn't have the emotional intelligence or control over myself to do it. I just felt very sad about myself and walked away, right? But that type of memory still exists in my brain and still exists in my nervous system. Because when that happened, even deeper, at a more primal level, it said, "Oh, I'm not part of, or I'm not being accepted of the group. And if I'm not accepted by the group, I may die because they're going to treat me worse, or I get abandoned and I put into the savannah where I die." And those, thoughts from hundreds of thousands of years ago are now coming into my body at a very subconscious level, and are now dictating the way that I act. And so later in my life, do you think I express myself authentically or I ever do that again? No. And if it wasn't for that one person, that should have been an amazing thing, where you're just bringing that good energy to your friends. You're saying what's up. You're kind of hopefully boosting the mood. That was a very loving thing to do. But because that one bad thing happened, your whole perception is shattered because of it, and you don't do that again. And now, maybe when you're having your child 20, 40 years later, you're not able to, express the amount of love that you would want to in that expression, because still that thought, that belief is there in your body, and it holds you back. The way that you have to get over this is by rewiring that pain that was inside of you and showing to your body and brain that your authentic expression is not met with pain. And if it is, that's on the other person, says nothing about you, but it's actually met with positivity. And so one of the biggest things stopping you from expressing yourself is that you kind of have this thing where if you were to do it, it wouldn't be good enough. It has to be perfect, and the other person's going to judge you or not like you for doing it. And so those are your base mindsets, where a person who is naturally extroverted, naturally wants to connect with other people, can do it, can express themselves, who I am now today. I expect positivity, because of course positivity should be received with positivity. And that has been the case every single time in my life. Anytime I've gone up to someone only to give, either in a good time with playful energy, to be interested into them, it's always gone positive back. And if it does come negative back, well, what does that say about the other person, right? And you can always look, maybe I did something wrong there, maybe I came off in a bad way, and reflect upon yourself. But at a base state, I assume authentically expressing myself, saying hello to the person passing by, is going to be met with positivity. That's like a base underlining thought. But yours, if you're like this, is not like that, right? And so we have to understand that those childhood things that happened either from your parents, the people around you, this high fear of judgment, of not thinking you're good enough, of maybe shame, a hesitance to express yourself, that's the barrier that you need to get over, and that's the fear of judgment that you have. So if you're not able to come out with that relatability, you're not able to express yourself because your fear of judgment, FOJ, is too high to even express yourself, well, that's what you need to lower first and rebuild your brain's thoughts of, oh, it is okay for me to be fun, expressive, and loose, just to say what I want to say, not overthink everything, just put it out there in the world and be okay with whatever I'm going to get back. Okay, whew. That was a good intro. Now it is, how can we be more fun and add humor to our conversations? And so the way that we can add humor and a little bit of playfulness is with, first of all, our energy, and then second of all, the words that are come out of our mouth. So these are the two ways that we communicate as people, with our energy and our words. Now, our energy is simply our sub-communication. So this is like our vibe. This is like the vibe of a human that person has. And this consists of the words that they use and then the sub-communications that they are expressing. And so the sub-communications and the words that you use come from your mindset. And then your mindset comes from your experience. And then this is what you were grown up with, okay? Let's do this. Okay. So your sub-communications, what are those? These are basically your eye contact, your body language, your tonality, your voice, and then your facial expressions. So these are basically the only ways that you express yourself with your body, the physical way that you use your body. Eye contact, your body language, your facial expressions, and your tonality. So not even the words I'm saying, but my loudness of my voice, the resonance of my voice, the pace of my voice, the pitch of my voice, the pauses that I use, the certain dynamics that are in there. That is what I mean by tonality. And then the hand movements, my body language, the way my body's positioned, how open it is. And so a very primal thing is if I, very human thing is if I hide my hands behind my back, because you can't see my hands, you don't know if I have maybe a weapon to kill you. And so this will just make more uneasiness in your body very subconsciously. If I were to show you my palms, that is going to make you feel more at ease, right? Now that shit matters like very little bit, but it's just to show you that humans, no matter where you are in life, are going to have these more subconscious things in your body. Now, even these things are socially conditioned in your life. Like if you lived in a society in which everyone with their hands behind their back was friendly and people with their hands out were serial killers, the brain would adapt to that, right? And so the brain adapts. The only thing that a human being is naturally scared of is pain. That they're naturally fearful of is pain, physical and audible pain. If babies aren't even deaf, they can hear. Those are the only two things. Everything else is socially conditioned inside of you to be fearful of. Everything else. So this is how we communicate. This is going to consist of 93% of communication. Yes. The words that you use are the other 7%. And so I could be giving the same presentation here, but I could be talking like this. And I do this example all the time. where I now just lower my voice, I lower my eye contact, I shrivel up the body, my voice goes a bit more constricted, and all this now starts to happen. And now, it's just the words that I use, there's a completely different message coming across. There's a whole different message coming across. And so that is dictating 93% of the communication of what message is coming across. Should I even kind of listen to what this person is talking about? Do they feel like what they're talking about should be listened to? And so people are going to believe something. So people are going to believe one person most at the end of the day, and that's you. But you can't fake it. You need to genuinely have that belief about yourself, right? And so I'm able to communicate my message the way I am, and when I'm with other people, I'm able to speak my thoughts out there because I believe that they should be listened to. I believe that, okay, you guys need to listen to this, so let me say it a little bit louder. Okay, you guys really need to listen to this, so let me get your attention, and now let me say it even louder so you guys can hear it. Because that's my thought, and my thought isn't, oh, maybe my thought's not good enough, let me shrivel it up and not say it. I put it out there, and then I also have that base mindset of my expression is met with positivity, or it's met with something else, and I'm okay dealing with that after. I just at least want to put my thought out there. Now, because I believe that my thoughts have value, I will say it in a way that people listen to it, and they should listen to it because I believe they have value, and it would benefit them too. You're living your boring life. Here's my thoughts about the world. Here, engage with this. What do you think about this, right? Even the fact that I'm asking for you to participate in something of mine is me showing interest into you. So I'm just at the most base level uplifting. And so that's the energy I'm giving. Do you want to engage? I say it in a way that I believe in myself, which is this. And now you may say, but I'm not a very loud person. If you speak like this, it doesn't matter. You're not going to sound confident. You need to have some volume to the way that you speak. You need to be able to speak like this. And then even furthermore, the type of tonality that you use. And so I can end my sentences like this all the time, but now it just sounds like I'm questioning myself. It doesn't even sound like I sound sure of what I'm saying. And even at that point, if you're talking to someone else, they're going to be like, are you even like sure of what you're saying is true? How can I even believe this? And so this is what they judge first. This is what every human is just going to like first notice about you, the way that you speak. If you speak in more of these downtones, which naturally comes out when you're more certain of yourself, people are going to be like, oh, he's more certain of yourself. But what comes out naturally when you're just talking to another person, when you are kind of nervous, is this uptoned because you're trying to qualify that person. Because you don't believe you're good enough to talk to another person or express yourself the way that you would want to. You naturally do these types of things that indicate you're more nervous. And whatever you feel, the other person's going to feel too. And so if I'm super relaxed and I'm at ease, that other person's going to be relaxed and at ease. But if I'm uptight and nervous, that's probably going to make that other person a bit uptight and nervous too. So whatever you feel, that other person's going to feel too. Make yourself at home. That is going to make the other person feel like they can be at home too, right? And of course, have respect regarding the scenario that you're in. When it does come to your vibe, there's actually 3 things that matter most, and 3 things that we can kind of put everything into, and that is confidence, competence, and authenticity. And so these 3 things are what are going to be attractive and healthy in your energy. Confidence, which is just the subcommunications, nothing else. You're able to communicate your beliefs and your opinions about the world in a way that's confident. So you can communicate your things in the most authentic way, but if they're coming out like this, and I believe that we should stand up for the people, and the people should stand up for like that, the message is not coming across. The message needs to come across in every part of you. Every part of you. The competence. So the competence is how intelligent you are, how much knowledge you have about certain things. And then it's how well you're, and also it is how socially competent you are. So like, do you understand social dynamics? Do you understand um, different types of framings? Do you understand more subtle cues that humans do? So someone maybe gives a look and now there's an inside joke happening. Maybe someone, just very subtle things like that, right? Do you understand how that's happening in a conversation? Wordplay, banter, uh, stuff like that, right? More like intelligent things. And then also be competent to the moment. So if someone's speaking on stage, you can be super confident on an authentic and be like, I'm gonna go up on stage and I'm gonna take up the show because that's who I am. I'm gonna take up the show. But that's not very competent. That's not like respectful to that person or the other people in the audience, right? So you're missing your competence. And then lastly, authenticity is being real to yourself. Like you want to do what you want to do. No apologies about that. I'm going to put this out into the world. I'm just going to see the reaction and I'm going to be okay with it because I was coming from a good, positive place, I would like to say. Oy, oy, oy. And then, yeah, so that's how your authenticity is. What do you like? What are your beliefs? What are your opinions about the world? And then acting in accordance to those. So if you don't drink or you don't smoke, it's not getting peer pressured into doing that, right? You can still have fun in life, but it's not bending your reality or the way that you do things to, when you don't want to, right? And that's being authentic to yourself. I'm not acting in a different way to please someone else, right? And that is all part of the synergy part. So let me just erase this. And so this is where most of the effort, or this is where most of the stuff is being communicated. And then on the words, we have the actual things coming out. And so technically, if you just look at this, like you could have a person who's like really fun, humor, playful, simply by this. So he doesn't even need to say words, but he can still have all this stuff. If he's able to communicate with his tonality, facial expressions, body language, eye contact, he will be totally okay. He or she will be totally okay expressing themselves in a fun, playful, or humorous way. You don't need the words. You don't need the words. The words are 7%. Now, how, without saying anything, can all this stuff be communicated? Well, imagine someone tells a joke. Imagine someone says, "Hey, can you pass the ruler?" And then someone says, "The long one." Now, someone can be with their words say, "The long one." That's what she said. That's what she said. However, the same message can be communicated with eye contact. The long one. The long one? Don't even say that, just the long one. Just that communicates the entire message. So that is the power of the subcommunications. And you should be able to express yourself in this way because this is the more human way of expressing yourself. Now, for the words, this is like the icing on top. This is like the icing of, people who are a bit more playful. They're able to have the banter. They're able to have this wordplay that they have. And so the icing on top is the words. It's being, a little witty is here, right? And to have this wit, you need to have a lower fear of judgment so you're able to express yourself. Anytime you're going to have some wit, you're putting yourself out there and you're going to need that fear of judgment. You're gonna experience that fear of judgment. And so really fun things that you could use are things like wordplay. And so this can be misinterpretations. Maybe someone says a word and you interpret that word as a different word and that has a different meaning. I would come up with an example. I can't really think of an example right now. So I'm just going to move on. Hopefully I'll remember. I'll come up with an example here. You can do callbacks. And so if an inside joke happened, or some type of experience happened that only you and that person have a memory on, well, you can use that joke maybe when it comes up again. So an example of this was me and my friend have a inside joke back from grade 11 about one of our teachers who had a friend for everything. Anything he ever needed, he would always say, "I have a friend for that." And it's just an inside joke me and him have. When that comes up today, when anyone brings up today that they know someone or they have a friend, I can look at him and say, I can look at him and say like, yeah, I know a friend who has a headlamp for their car, a headlight for their car, because that's an inside joke me and him have. So that is what that does is bond our experience or bond our connection much deeper, because it's something that only him and I remember. It's a way more intimate thing. And so callbacks are amazing for that. But what they require is like a little bit of time together. But you can also use callbacks like in the same conversation. And you'll still get that effect of, I'm bringing a point in time where we were in the past. Now I'm bringing that point in time where we were together in the past, now to the future. And it's usually better if that time in the past was positive, right? And so I'm bringing a positive time in the past now to the future. And that is a callback in a funny way that you could use. Other things that you could do are analogies. And so this is just spicing up the language that you use. Again, humans don't communicate on this professional language. They communicate on more descriptive and emotional language. And so things like analogies, like I was hot as hell, is an analogy. But being able to say that is going to increase the FOJ, because you don't want to sound unprofessional or say anything that could burden or piss someone off because of those past experiences that you had, where when you did do that, someone did get mad or you were met with some type of negative energy or pain. So analogies are an amazing type of thing that you could use. They can be just so stupid. It doesn't have to be anything. Slippery as soap, black as the night. Like, it doesn't have to be anything. It's just adding more description, more fluff to your language. You need to add more fluff to your language. And so let's go back to like misinterpretations. There's a whole bunch of types of misinterpretations. Something like can you pass the ruler, the long one? That's a misinterpretation. Man, there's so many other things that you could that you just need to, when they come up and you think of them naturally, you need to do what I call the blurt method. The blurt method is you'll get those things that naturally come up in your head that you want to say, but you'll hold them back. You need to not even think about them and just instantly do them. That's the blurt method. As soon as you instantly have the thought, immediately put it out into the world. Don't even give yourself time to overthink. This kills a lot of overthinking. But you just need to think it, do it immediately. No thought, no hesitation. And this is the two ways that humans communicate. So in good ways, right? And so this is the words that you use. And again, this is how you be more fun in your conversations. Analogies, callbacks, misinterpretations. A joke that I said one time was me and a friend were talking about past experiences, and we're talking about something a bit more deeper. And she was saying that things like childhood trauma that she experienced, there wasn't a lot of swearing in it, right? And just mid conversation, we were talking about that, and so I just responded, "Oh, you had PG, you had like PG trauma where there's no swearing allowed, right?" That's my brain just making a relationship between no swearing and, well, in PG movies you're not allowed to swear, and adding those together. And so it's kind of like an analogy, but I'm relating two kind of unseparated things and I'm relating them together. And that just shows, like, in the conversation, a little bit of creativity, and I'm actively listening to what that person's saying, right? Now, I'm not always telling a joke one after another, because that is insensitive and not listening to that other person. It's just kind of something that came to my mind, and so I said it, and then I went back to listening to her. But just things like that will naturally come up when you're not so caught up in your head and you're actually listening and engaging to that other person. Yeah. And then if you want to connect, and so let me see here. Yeah, so it's this stuff that doesn't allow you to come off the way, like, if you're wanting to do any of this, have more expressive eye contact, body language, tonality, facial expressions, all of that are going to increase your fear of judgment, because it's going to be increasing your expression. Whenever you increase your expression, your kind of like potential for pain also increases. And so your base mindset is like, no. But you need to get over that and show yourself that's not true at all. Okay. Now, the way that you actually connect with people and you can make a more deeper connection that isn't just like all playful and all jokes, like, it's good to have a mix of the two, is by now talking about more deeper things. And so to connect, you want to talk about things that are more deep. So what are those things? Things like family. Asking if they have family, brothers, sisters. What do they think about their brothers and sisters? Any amazing experiences that you have with those people? Any things that you do? And again, you want to keep these more on the positive note, right? Trying to keep them more on positive subjects. Fun experiences, things that were more joyful, that were more maybe crazy, that were maybe a bit more, like, you understand what I mean, right? Don't keep them so boring and somber, or like, what was your worst experience with your fucking sister? Like, don't do that, right? More fun, positive things. You can also ask again about relatable subjects, and so this is what's really going to make certain things in the relationship between you guys actually connect. If you can relate on anything that they're talking about, right? So find things that are relatable to you and that other person has. And so that can be things about their family. That can be things about maybe some things that their mom likes, maybe your mom doesn't like, maybe your mom does like, right? It's just putting your opinions about that stuff out there too. So they'll say a little bit, you can respond with a little bit, ask a question, they respond a little bit, you respond with a bit, ask a question. And this little bit that you respond with is, however you feel of, do I want to be playful? Do I want to be more joking? Do I want to connect more? What do I feel is right? And again, future plans. Is there anything that they want to do? Is there anything they got maybe in the future? Passions. Fun experiences. And when they're talking about this stuff, so you just ask a question like this, and then they'll talk a little bit, and then you put into your your thoughts and opinions and beliefs about that. And so you can respond a little bit to what they said, and then add a little bit from your life. And as this goes on over time, as the time graph goes on, more and more they will feel comfortable too. So what bonds people at the end of the day is shared experiences. So that's a big one. Shared experiences, shared interests, shared things that you guys like, but also the biggest one is time spent together. And so if you spend 30 seconds in a conversation together, like, there's just nothing to look back on and to be like, oh, like, good talking to you, I would like to see you again. Not really, right? If you're working with that person, or you'll see that person again, then it's totally okay to have way shorter conversations because you know the time you'll see them again and again and again, and from there you can kind of build a relationship from there and see if you like it. But if you're only going to meet someone for a little bit, you want the time spent with them to be a bit longer than just, oh, hello, this is my name, goodbye. You want to, have some time so you can get to know them, and that's going to take 5 to 10 minutes usually. Like that's a good time of a single conversation where you actually then begin to relax and be like, okay, I'm actually feeling okay in this conversation, right? There's a transition period that both of you are probably going to feel where you're like, I'm uncomfortable in this conversation. I'm uncomfortable. I'm kind of comfortable now. But that comes out 5-10 minutes afterwards. And then lastly, if you want to end a conversation, very easy. Don't overthink it. Just say, hey, it was amazing talking to you. I don't want to take up any more of your time. I'll let you get going. You have a good one, okay? Easiest way to end a conversation. Very polite. Excuses them too. I don't want to take any more of your time. And then you just end the conversation and you go on about your day, right? And even if that happens, like if they say something after, you don't have to immediately leave. You just have to be okay expressing yourself and be okay for what is going to come afterwards. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want more help with this, there's some links in the description. You can book a call with me. You can send a message to me on my Instagram. With that, peace out. Bye. Love ya.